Broadcasting live from the Joy 106.3 FM studios, it's the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show with host Coach Daryl Williams. Wildcats, let's flip the switch and do this. Welcome to another show of the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. I'm your host, Daryl Williams, here with my co-host, Mr. Ralph Smith, Mr. C.C. Cruz, and the professor, Mr. Larry Wesley. Gentlemen, another week of college football. Our Wildcats go down to Miami on last Saturday night and played a decent game. The score didn't indicate that, but there were some pluses in that game. Like to welcome CC back to the show this week in person. Glad to have you back, sir. And we'll hear from you shortly. Ralph, glad to have you back in person this week. Mr. Wesley had to hold it down for you on last week. He did a great job. So you can continue missing. You can continue missing, but it's glad to have you back. Guys, let's talk about Ralph. How's your week been, sir?
My week has been fantastic, and I'm just hoping that we could get rid of some of this rain so we can enjoy Saturday's game.
Most definitely hoping for the same thing, and looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting back out on our home field and seeing some Wildcat football. How about yourself, Mr. Wesley?
Not a bad week so far at all. Just processing week one of college football, and particularly HBCU football. A lot of interesting scores, and seems like week two might look the same way. A lot more teams playing money games this weekend in HBCU than week one, so we'll have to kind of digest that next week, but ready for some football for the weekend. Hopefully the weather will cooperate.
Definitely hope that weather will cooperate for us, and we can get some good football in. We can play in the rain. Just hope the lightning stays off from us. CC. CC.
Well, man, I'm excited. Football season is here. The Wildcats play home Saturday, and just like every year, you just get excited. Get excited and ready to cheer on the Wildcats. Definitely
ready to cheer on our Wildcats to a victory on Saturday against the Bulldogs. Last time we played the Bulldogs, we were on the wrong side of the scoreboard and on the wrong side of the sun. Either it was going to be hot or you're going to get rain. So I guess when you come to Florida, you're going to get rain.
Rain.
So
right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, glad to have you guys in the studio with us. Let's get right into it, guys. Our SWAC week recap. So on Thursday night, as we said on last week, Mississippi Valley goes to Tarleton, and Mississippi Valley puts up 13 points against those guys. Final score in that game, 29-13. Any surprises there?
No, not for me.
No surprise.
I thought that was the only football game that I felt the SWAC had a chance to win out of conference. I really did. Tarleton State is in the transition from coming up from Division II up to FCS. And Bethune Cookman is scheduled a few years ago, the COVID year.
Right, definitely. Yeah, and then we're going to come here to Daytona. Yeah, definitely.
So, looked at the score of the game, the box scores and everything, and Mississippi State trailed at half, 16-0. They didn't score until the third quarter, but very winnable ball game
on Saturday against the
Exactly.
Bulldogs. So, gotcha. Then we had Alabama A&M going to University of Alabama Birmingham.
Definitely no surprise there.
Alabama A&M 0, University of Alabama Birmingham 59.
That's a ball club you need to keep an eye on. Alabama Birmingham is a good ball club. They're going to surprise some people this year. That score lopsided, but you watch them play some of the better teams on their schedule. They're going to give them fits.
I definitely look at that. Okay.
But I still thought that Alabama A&M would do a little bit better than what they did. They made a lot of mental errors in that game, and I didn't expect that from them. I didn't expect them to win, but I didn't expect them to make the errors that they made.
Yeah, definitely didn't expect them to make those errors. It's just unfortunate, but they're gonna have to pick it up. They're gonna pick it up definitely.
Got to replace Akil Glass.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
It's not easy to
Yeah, you're right.
Definitely. We have in other matchups, Saturday's game. Our Wildcats go down to Miami Gardens, as I said earlier. Final score from that game: VCU 13, Miami 70. We'll cover that game here a little later. Miles College goes to Alabama State. VCU alum, as the defensive coordinator, gets another W. Final score from that game: Alabama State 21, Miles College 13. Any surprises in that game, point-wise, things of that nature?
Well, I first of all think the Bama State jumped out 21-0.
And they supposed to.
Yeah,
Right,
but then after that, Miles shut them completely down.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And had a chance to tie the football game up on the last drive in Montgomery.
Right,
So,
right.
Miles asserted themselves very well there.
Definitely. So, next up, Stephen F. Austin against Alcorn State. Final score from that game: Stephen F. Austin 31, Alcorn 27.
I kind of thought that was a winnable game for Alcorn, to be honest.
It was a winnable game. In fact, Alcorn led by 2 scores.
Right.
And so the Lumberjacks had to come back. In fact, the Alcorn was in great position to win that football game, and literally sort of let it get away from them out on the village, because that was played.
Arkansas Pine Bluff 48, Lane 42.
Guys, remember I mentioned last week about Lane before we got off the air. I said, watch Lane.
Right.
They can score some points.
Right.
And, sounded like that was a really interesting football game. A lot of points being scored there.
Definitely so. Yeah, it was a good football game for Lane to put up 42 against a SWAC team. So Grambling at Arkansas State. Final score from that game: Arkansas State 58, Grambling 3.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, Larry. I really didn't expect to see that score with Grambling and Arkansas State.
Well, I thought it would play a little closer, but again, this is the whole commentary that's going on the media all day today. Everybody's talking about how much stock we put in first week games, because the growth in most teams is from week 1 to week 2. But that score surprises me because I expected more offense from Grambling. That says to me that there's something awry there in the quarterback room. I know they got the transfer kid Grambling did from UCLA.
Right.
Don't know whether he's the starter right now, but Arkansas State is not a really good football team.
Right.
And
Right.
They were 2-10 last year.
Well, we'll see that even more this week, because they go up to the Horseshoe to play Columbus, Ohio State.
Ohio State?
Yeah,
Oh,
so that could get ugly in the first quarter.
You're right.
But they had Grambling down in that football game 30-0. So
Yeah, but, I watched the tape of that game though. It's almost as if Grambling had no enthusiasm about that game whatsoever, and they just showed up. And Arkansas State was about the same size as Grambling. So I'm not sure what's going on at Grambling, but I think they're straightening
the
out.
Grambling fan base certainly didn't take kindly to
No.
it because they were already saying
They already want Hugh to go.
They already
Yeah,
want to go.
they're calling for basketball right now, so it's not a good look. Somebody even said, well, why don't we go back and hire our Browse, the football
They
coach
really- yeah.
from Baylor.
Yeah.
It was all over the place.
So Hugh Jackson may not make it through the season then.
He might not make it to game 3 if you listen to the Grambling fans.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
very, very disappointed.
Definitely so. Definitely so. And then finally, down in Miami on Sunday, Jackson State 59, FAMU 3.
Ralph, I'm gonna let you have this one.
I remember something about CC last week. I think who was it? Was it Jerry or was it Daryl trying to get Ralph to pull for the Rattlers? Or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, I think it was Jerry, and Ralph would say it. He tried to get Mr. Wesley to say it, and yeah, that
Cats and snakes don't get along.
didn't age well at all. Yeah, that didn't age well. So
You know the thing that really surprised me? Usually, when you playing another team in your conference, you don't usually get a lump-sided score like that. And it's almost as if Florida A&M was still celebrating the fact that they scored 24 against North Carolina. And their head wasn't in the game. And Jackson State came in there to punch him in the nose.
well, I mean, the thing that we know is those guys traveled down there on
Wednesday.
and a normal trip to South Beach or South Florida, we'll say, is a distraction in itself, even if you go down there on a Friday, But to be there, on a Wednesday and you're not playing until Sunday.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of that was brought on also by Jackson being there. But Jackson was trying to get out of the conditions.
The water
Right.
problem. Yeah.
Right.
And I think
that
they came in on Thursday, I believe Jackson did.
Yeah, I think Jackson came in Thursday morning early. They flew out of Jackson very early Thursday on American, and I think that might have had some influence on
Right,
some
definitely.
taking his team down a little bit early. But gentlemen, let's cut right through the chase on this situation. I think it's something that as folks talking on the radio and consider ourselves now like talking heads that we hear as you drive around in your cars. One of the things is a wonderful article out on HBCU game day this week on 4 reasons that Jackson dominated Florida A&M, and I didn't necessarily. I looked at all 4, but the one reason that caught my eye that I really hadn't thought about, and I think everybody who plays Jackson is going to have to think about this, and everybody who's playing in HBCU football is going to need to sort of adjust this, and that topic was analytics. Deion
Right.
Sanders
Agree.
and his analytical staff.
Right.
They were talking about everything that FAMU would have been planning to do, whether they showed it or not.
Right.
They were ready for it.
Right.
Because the analytical people the people who were in the analytics room had covered everything. Even when they talked to Shador after the game, he said whatever blitz they could have brought, we were ready for it.
Right.
Whatever they were going to do, we had a counter for it. And that's the new wave of coaching today. When you look at coaching staffs, and then you have the people who are analysis.
Right.
Right,
analysts.
definitely.
And they're basically they're looking at trends and tendencies, and by looking at that game, you could see an energy level that was different. But every time, it looked like every time Florida A&M ran a play or passed the ball, it was like Jackson must have been in the
knew
house.
like
Because they were there. They were right there, like they heard the play, you know. So I don't know whether there's that much separation in the roster. You know, I'm certain that there is a little, but not.
not to where
not that much.
not what 56 points difference. Yeah.
No, but you clearly could see by the eye test, one team was prepared and the other one was not.
Well, did Musa show who he really is?
Well, I think what Willie Simmons has said in the paper yesterday, as they looked at the film, he says his team was not physical enough.
Exactly.
Their pad levels were not where they need to be. And he said the other thing that disappointed him more, which caused Musa to struggle, the receivers avoided contact. They allowed themselves to be rerouted, which then put the quarterback in this bad situation. Because they're not where he's expecting them to be.
Exactly.
And so I think it was a combination of those things, and that's what Coach Simmons said himself as he was going over the film. So I think it was a combination of things, but I put it all up under the category of Deion really having his team prepared for whatever Florida ended.
Yeah, I think it was just all off.
Yeah.
I mean, for them, you know, pretty much from the word height.
I guess that wasn't the Florida A&M team that I saw Sunday wasn't the one I was expecting. I mean, yeah, I'm sure the analyticals are very important, but A&M didn't have any energy whatsoever.
Well, they said even in warm-ups, the energy level could be felt in the stadium. And
none.
all on Jackson
Yeah, it was all on Jackson State side, and
now,
you know,
let us not kid ourselves. Jackson State, much like FAMU has, Jackson State has elevated their staff. I'm not talking about coaching only, but even players. They got some good ball players, and they always seem to step faster than Florida A&M in that football game. They were all over the field.
definitely. There you have it. The SWAC recap. We'll move right into our Pro First Sports Management SWAC week schedule and rankings. First up, we have Mississippi Valley State going into Austin Peay. That game's at 4 p.m. They're in Clarksville, Tennessee. As we've heard, South Carolina State travels here to Daytona Beach, 4 p.m. kickoff, Municipal Stadium. We want to see you there in the place. Alabama State travels out to UCLA to play them. That's a 5 p.m. kickoff in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Then you have Albany State going to Florida A&M. Guys, I know that's one I know you guys have talked about and have checked. What are you going to be looking for in that game?
Don't be surprised by Albany State. You know, last year, Albany State led their conference in several different categories. And they've always, you know, they kept a pretty good defense as well now. So don't be surprised now.
That Blue Death defense that they have under Coach Gardenia is a very, very, very good defense.
And they're catching FAMU at the right time.
Very well coached football team. They returned 22 starters off that ball club that won the SIAC last year and went into the Division II playoffs. So if FAMU is, you know, not on their A game, they could cause some problems for FAM at least for a half or so. They're going to be well coached. I think they'll probably be opportunistic. Watch them blocking kicks. They block a lot of kicks. Albany State does. So special teams are going to be huge in that ball game.
Well, let me say this. If the Rattlers don't win, Willie might be looking for a job. You're not going to embarrass the Rattlers 2 weeks in a row.
I'm not going to say that he's, you know, I'll leave it there.
Don't say it, Daryl. Don't say it.
I think he's interviewing anyway.
I can't comment on Willie, but if they lose that game, there will be a mutiny in Tallahassee.
You got that right.
I don't know about Coach Simmons.
Hey, Willie going to need some armed guards to get back to Quincy.
Next up, we have Alcorn State going into Tulane. They're in New Orleans, 7 p.m. kickoff. They're in New Orleans. Grambling going to Northwestern State. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff. Alabama A&M goes to Troy. That's another 7 p.m. kickoff. Jackson State at Tennessee State, 7 p.m. kickoff. What do you look to see in that one?
I think that's going to be a defensive battle, man. I really do. I think that both team defenses are on, a great level at this particular time. And I just always believe that Tennessee State, no matter who the coach is, they always just keep a sound defense.
Right, definitely so.
I think it. I think it will be some points scored in this football game. Nothing against the defense. Tennessee State fared well at Eastern Washington, scoring 29 points out there. Eddie George did not start his star running back, Devon Starling. Didn't bring him into the third series of the game. He ran for 200 and close to 210 yards on 25 carries. Had a heck of a football game. I think Tennessee State will try to run the football and be a little more balanced than what we saw Florida A&M in their attack against Tennessee State. But the key to the whole thing is that Tennessee State suffered some severe injuries, although all of them will be playing. Hope to play in this game, but they have some concerns in the secondary. And as sharp as Shedeur Sanders looked the other day in that air raid offense, if you don't have your secondary tightened up pretty good or buttoned up pretty good, it can get away from you real quickly. He's very accurate with that football, and they're running that air raid offense. I mean, they probably have about 5-6 people out in the route every time, and so he's picking and choosing where he wants to go with it. I think the over on that football game, it will probably I have over 50 points being scored collectively between those two schools.
I agree with that.
I see that. That's what I really
But the other key for Tennessee though, if their cornerbacks is playing off of Jackson State, that's going to be a problem for them. Because that's what A&M did.
Right, but I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, because they showed you how to beat. I mean, you got to come up.
You got to come up.
Yeah, you just got to come up.
You have to press a little bit. You can't give them
a 5-yard head start.
Right. Out cushions and stuff like that.
Right.
That'll show.
Next up, we have North American University going into Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Southern at LSU. That's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. They're in Baton Rouge. Pretty much a home game. Texas Southern goes to North Texas. That's a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. And hopefully Texas Southern can play well against North Texas. We went there a couple of years ago and faced those guys out there. And then closing out the SWAC competition, Prairie View A&M versus Abilene Christian. That's an 8 p.m. kickoff. So there you have it for our SWAC week schedule. Now we'll go into our rankings. Hailing at number 14 for this week, you have Jackson State. Coming in at number 40 after losing, FAMU comes in at number 40. They were previously ranked number 23 in the rankings. Coming in at 56, Alabama A&M, no change there. Coming in at 66, Prairie View A&M, they were previously 74 in the power rankings. And then Alabama State coming in at 69, they were previously 91. Our Wildcats coming in at number 78, we were previously 95, so putting up the yardage against Miami, like I said, contrary to the score, helped us out greatly. Alcorn State comes in at 81. They were previously 69. Southern University comes in at 86. They were previously 87. And then at 108, it's Arkansas Pine Bluff. They were previously 114. Grambling State comes in at 111. They were previously 101. Mississippi Valley State follows them up at 119. They were previously 111. And Texas Southern rounds it out at 126. They were previously 124 in the rankings. There you have it, guys. So Wesley, any recruits on the Bethune-Cookman horizon that you have looked at, seen, or heard some inklings of?
Well, it's early for all small schools because the recruitment, we basically get what's left over from the bigger schools. But I know we had a chance, you and Ralph and myself, to watch the DeLand game.
Yes, indeed.
A few weeks ago, we were all impressed with both those ball clubs, but particularly the size of DeLand's offensive line and that offense that they run the single wing. And I was having a conversation with you guys and talking with Coach Sims, where I had read in the papers that Mike Canales had gone over and met with Coach Darlington and Dazzy Morris, offensive line coach, and OC at DeLand High, and offered both the offensive guard and offensive tackle, 164 and 285. The other kid is 6'6 and 280. And I was just really happy, to see Bethune Cookman out on the trail, not looking for talent, but offering kids in that regard, from that standpoint. And then, CeCe sent me a shocker this morning about one of, I'm still trying to digest that one yet. I mean,
from CC, digest it.
Yeah, that's
Take it away, CC.
I've got my fielders out with some people, former Wildcats, who are looking more closely in. I know it's real. We saw it.
Right.
But
right.
It's a commitment. Thank God nobody is signing anything yet. So we will see. But that really.
Yeah, and it I see from our forum, and take it away, CC. I won't spoil it, but
yeah, since you said
I'll let you elaborate on it. But one of our great alumnus sons, unfortunately, committed to the guys in Tallahassee.
Yeah. So a lot of times, and I know his father very well. Bosick.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were in school together, and it's really surprising, that he did go to A&M. But I will say they did recruit him real hard. Now I did hear that. They recruited him really hard. So I mean, that's the name of the game. It is. You get out.
Show me you love me.
Yeah, show me you love me. That's exactly what it is. If you
right.
show me you love me more than the other person show me, you got it. So I mean, that's just what it is.
That's absolutely. I understand. I had a situation several years ago where another Wildcat Hall of Famer who attended Bethune Cookman when I was in school, his son came out of high school in the South Florida area and chose to commit to Howard Snellenberger at Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic, yeah.
And as fate would have it, the very next year, Bethune Cookman and FAU played in a rainy football game. In fact, the football game was just it was the Saturday before 9/11.
Right.
And we lost to FAU. And John Osborne's son ran a fumble return. We were going in for a touchdown to win the game.
Right.
And he ran it back 101 yards, and they beat us. And I think that hurt me even more. But kids make their own decisions today. We live in a different world. I get that.
Yeah.
But we'll have to. It's a whole process here. So a commitment is not a signing. And if it is a signing, and that's where the young man wants to go, we have nothing but best wishes for him, except when he...
In November, every year, right.
In November, over in Orlando.
Right.
But the word was out, that Cookman was really, they were kind of neck and neck with getting the young man.
Okay.
It's not over until you sign the paper.
You haven't signed anything.
Right. It's not over, so.
When his daddy take the car from him, he'll know what to do.
if they let Roland Martin keep getting on the TV,
Yeah, we'll be A-okay.
it may not be over the show.
You're right.
Definitely so. Guys, let's go over our BCU versus UM game recap. I know we were all tuning in. I was down at the game, the hot game on Saturday. Very beautiful weekend in Miami on this past weekend. Guys, we came up on the short end on the scoreboard, but what positives did you see? And let's just say for both teams. What I know CC, if it's not the maroon and gold, you're an orange and green fan, but it's not the orange and green that everybody might think,
Exactly.
You're a Hurricane fan.
I am.
Down underneath. So, and also, there was someone online who said CC looks like he's about to cry when we were talking about Bostic. So he already shedded tears, guys. So yeah,
He's a good player. I mean, he's definitely a good player, no doubt about
Right.
it. And I think he could really help us a lot.
Well,
Right.
he's got his dad's gene.
Right,
His dad
exactly.
was a tremendous football
Right,
player.
definitely.
As well as his brother Jonathan,
Right.
to get to the
Right,
league.
exactly.
Right.
Jonathan went to the University of Florida, so it runs in the family. Somebody will be getting a good athlete and a good kid. There's
Right,
nothing
exactly.
about that, nothing about it. And a
Exactly.
strong academic presence,
Right.
because that family they pride themselves on education.
right, definitely. Miami versus our Wildcats.
I, and it's not a shock to me, but I thought Jalen Jones played well. I thought that he showed that he has a command of the offense. I also thought that the plays that Coach Canales was calling, I thought it suited Jalen Jones and the offense as well.
I agree. Guys, I'm going to be really honest. The only thing I was really interested, I kind of knew the outcome. I didn't know the score. But I knew it was a disparity of the riches in terms of the two teams. But I wanted to see, and I saw what I wanted to see in that very first drive. I saw the execution and the design of an offense for the first time. I am so happy offensively because we never, within the last 7, 8 years, we never ran in our passing game. We never ran passing routes that are designed to defeat man-on-man coverage. And by that, when you hear people talking football about route trees and the type of routes that get away from man coverage, those are crossing routes. You're running away from people.
Right.
And so to see Coach Canales and Jalen and the offense execute that first drive,
Right.
which literally took the air out of Miami Stadium. I mean, no one expected Bethune Cookman to take the opening kickoff and drive that football, overcoming a 3rd and 25
Right.
and picking that up, and then going all the way down and getting, inside right at the 10-yard line. That was impressive. No question about it. And I knew that we were not going to show a whole lot, but
Right.
just moving that football against a high caliber ACC football team and moving it efficiently, I'm certain the people in the stadium who were not in maroon and gold were like, who are these guys?
Right.
How can they be moving this football like this against us? So I got enough out of that one drive and the fact that we scored some points.
There was a lot of adversity on that drive. I mean, we started out with a couple of legal procedures. We got backed up and still marched it down to, yeah.
And
And
like I was telling Ralph.
Definitely,
I was telling Ralph
definitely.
the other day, I said that they're doing this on Miami's first team defense.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
But see, I concur with what Larry had mentioned earlier, that the scheme was perfect for the quarterback, and he executed it the way he should have.
Right.
And even though we was very vanilla, the scheme he put together was a good scheme, and we executed the scheme.
when it was 3rd and 23, and they brought a blitz. They brought a weak side blitz. And Jalen got rid of that football really quickly.
Sure did.
Short route with a lot of yards after catch. Yak.
Yep.
To get the 1st and 10. And not only did they do that with that route, they hit Dylan Lee with a similar type of a layered route where we got deep into the hurricane territory. And I know right away, I mean, I didn't know, but I knew right away that somebody on Miami side was saying, wait a minute, whoever designed these routes,
right.
Got a pretty good offensive mind, you know. And
definitely.
That's what I enjoyed the most about that. Because the ball came out, it went where it was supposed to go.
Yes.
We played a lot of people. We expected
Right.
to play a lot
Of
of
course.
people.
Of
But
course.
we didn't show much at all.
Right,
But
right.
I mean, you could see from that one drive what this offense is capable of.
And not only that, we hit Marcus Raleigh on a 3rd down when,
Yeah.
typically we've been 3 and out.
Right.
Yeah, usually we run a dive on that.
Which we did come back and do later in the game, but
Or more importantly, if you look at the playbook that we've had for so long, if we're in 3rd and over 20, you're going to see a takeoff route. You're going to try to outrun somebody. Right. That's not how you beat man coverage. You
No, definitely
you got
not.
a cornerback in position, but when you run away and you got people crossing people's faces with combination routes, then you can create separation off rub routes.
Yeah,
and that's what I really enjoy.
We run a lot of different routes. That's what we do. So I think we can.
And like we said, we weren't showing.
No.
Nope. It's just basic football.
But the only area that I was somewhat disappointed in is special teams. I was disappointed in our special teams because they was averaging like 50 yards per kick
for the returns.
for turns, and I was kind of disappointed in that area. But overall, I thought we looked pretty good actually. I mean, we went down there. We said we were gonna play a lot of people. We wanted to get out of there with no injuries. We didn't have any major injuries. We picked the check up and came back to Daytona. And that was the plan. That was the plan.
We played at a high level FBS school. Miami gained 605 total yards. Bethune Cookman had 342 total yards playing 3 quarterbacks.
Right, playing 3 quarterbacks against a Kevin Steele coach defense.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant numbering right there. And
for a long time in that game, and I took pictures of it, those stats were neck and neck. Until later in the game, when it was definitely decided, but cleanup duty per se is what put the extra on there.
But back to what Cece said, most of our damage was done against their number one stuff.
Correct.
It wasn't no mop up. We didn't get that doing mop up. That was against the number one team.
Man, this Facebook feed is blowing up over here. We had 7 explosive plays of 20+ yards. When's the last time? That's
It's been a while.
That's what I'm looking at on the stat sheet right now. I'm looking at it. When I printed this out this afternoon after looking at it on Saturday after the game, but you can kind of get an idea in the passing area. We threw the football to a lot of different people. The ball went a lot of different places. The backs caught the football. Dylan had he had 5 catches for 83 yards. Dylan Lee did. A long of 28. Quayshawn caught a touchdown. He had 2 for 34. They called 1 back. I think that's what you're going to see when you look at our stat line.
No, yeah.
Last year, everything went to Kamari.
Right.
This
Right.
is going to help Kamari.
Right.
now
Right.
Because,
Right.
Because Kamari's still going to draw. He's going to take the coverage with him.
Right, definitely.
Yes.
But now,
Yes.
we'll come to Kamari in special situations after we have established other people.
Right.
So you got to pick your poison at that point in time.
Right.
That's what I like about good play calling, because the idea is to make you defend the entire football
Exactly.
field.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what you have to. That's what you have to do,
Right.
do really well to be a good offense.
Yeah.
Jalen Jones finishes the day 11 of 20 for 243 yards. He had 15 yards rushing on 6 carries as a quarterback. His longest pass of the day was a 48-yarder to DJ Powell.
Right.
Yeah. So
I think that this offense helps all the quarterbacks, but especially Jalen, because if there's been one knock on him in his prior stops, it was his inability to get the ball out and holding the football. Well, a lot of that is because of the routes you're running.
Exactly.
The
scheme.
This scheme that we're running right now, we've got 5 to 6 people in the route every time we run it.
Every time.
And so we're encouraging the quarterback to take what the defense gives you, check it down, and you can read. You may read from high to low, or you may read from low to high. But as you start throwing those shorter routes, they will open up the deeper shots.
Exactly.
For you to come later on.
Right.
And I think that's going to help all our quarterbacks. But that's the design, the scheme that we're putting in place.
Because I think that our receiver coach has done an excellent job in terms of teaching kids how to actually run a route, and he works on that really hard every practice on how to run the route. And once I think you get them concentrating on how to run the route, and they get it in their mindset that that's what they're going to do, I think it makes the quarterback job very easy.
Oh, it definitely does.
It's going to be very interesting to see when we start incorporating our 12 personnel with our double tight ends.
Yes.
12, 13 personnel.
Yes.
Because a lot of people are going to want to jump Kamari, but we have some very capable tight ends who catch that football
with size,
good
size across the board.
Exactly, and I think again that's all part of Mike Canellis' scheme.
Yeah, definitely. Our Wildcats finished the day. Total yards, as Mr. Wesley said, 342 on the day. Miami 605. Passing yards for Bethune-Cookman 249. Miami 300. Rushing yards for Bethune-Cookman finished with 93 yards. Miami 305. Penalty yards. Bethune-Cookman 13 penalties for 95 yards. Miami 6 penalties for 48 yards. It could have been called the other way so bad.
Miami does anything like they did.
Hold the way they was holding.
Oh boy, I tell you.
Next week, against Southern Miss.
Oh yeah.
Those will be penalties.
Right.
Yep.
Bethune-Cookman 13 first downs. Miami 31. Third downs. Bethune-Cookman went 5 for 14. Miami 7 for 7. And then no fourth down conversions for either team. Time of possession for our Wildcats, 30 minutes, 13 seconds. Hurricanes, 29 minutes, 36 seconds.
There are no fumbles at all.
No. Very good control of the ball. We had a couple turnovers from passing and things of that nature, but yeah. Clean football game that,
pretty much.
As my boy Ralph said, you're not going to get both. Right. And we I think the flags were throw it on the team who's got some gold in their colors. Match them, So, as Marcus Ulrich said, the offense reminded him of how, back in 2010 with Mark Orlando's offense and Matt Johnson running down.
Exactly.
So,
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That takes us right into our South Carolina State scouting report. Ralph, CC, what do you think the Bulldogs are going to do? Punt the ball after you pass the line of scrimmage? Or
See, Mr. Wesley said this earlier. You got to look at this a little bit differently than you would ordinarily look at if they were playing a team of the same caliber. I mean, if you look at their statistics, they were awful. But if you believe they're going to play that way Saturday, it's not going to happen. I mean, I think their total yards was like 56.
Right.
I mean.
Well, they had net South Carolina State.
Yeah.
Net passing yards were 56.
Yep.
Compared to 308 from UCF, and they rushed the football for a net total of 35 versus 292.
And South Carolina State quarterback was 7 of 23.
So when you look at South Carolina State, and South Carolina State has been like this for years. They're going to come in. They're going to bring a very stingy defense.
Yes.
They're going to have super linebackers, as we always know. And they're going to always have DBs that can push from the front. However, the offense, they always have a steady quarterback. Someone that can get the job done. And they're just going to blitz you. So you got to be ready because they're going to come at you at every angle.
All right, Larry, tell them what you said about this. Is a reminder. This game is going to remind you of 2010.
It's a 2010 makeover. When you look at the particulars, I was mentioning it, Ralph. In 2010, the article that ran in the Daytona Beach paper on the Friday morning before we played was, this is Brian Jenkins' first year, will BCO or SC State's D rule? That was the whole key.
Right.
With our racetrack speedway offense, hold up against
their defense.
I remember.
And then when they played the football game the following day, the paper headline was Wildcats KO, two-time MEAC champ. BCC ends up 6-0, and in South Carolina State, I think it was an 18-game conference win streak that they had. Now, they came into that football game with the returning MEAC Player of the Year, Malcolm Long.
Yes.
Was
quarterback.
Mr. Football of South Carolina. And if you look at South Carolina State this year, they bring back Corey Fields, who was a senior and projected to be Offensive Player of the Year for the MEAC. You look at the fact that in 2010, Mark Orlando was running offense. South Carolina State had no footage on it, because previously they were preparing for Coach Wyatt.
Right.
And we got Mike Canales coming in, and that football game, to me, then I'm not saying history repeats itself, but that football game ended up being a clash of styles, and no one could foresee Bethune-Cookman shutting South Carolina State out that day, 14-0. But also, no one saw Bethune-Cookman's offense dominating South Carolina State's offense in the way that it did. We left 2 touchdowns out there. It should have been 28-0 easily.
Yeah, right.
So I see this football game, in the same light. And I know one thing. I've been around Buddy Pugh for a long time. Buddy Pugh and I were in college together. I remember him playing defensive tackle for South Carolina State. Very good football player. But one thing about Buddy Pugh, he does his homework, and what concerns him most, he knows Bethune-Cookman, and he and Bill Hayes used to say something, and I would laugh every time they would say it. They said, the difference between Bethune-Cookman and FAMU? And they said, if you hit FAMU in the mouth, they'll shut up and go away. If you hit Bethune-Cookman in the mouth, it's going to be a fight, okay? It's going to be a fight. And so Buddy Pugh knows whenever Wildcats and Bulldogs get together, the history says, we saw the game, y'all saw the game last year, it jumped out early, and Bethune-Cookman, as Ralph said, they just had a little bit more time.
Right.
A little bit more time.
All we needed was some more time.
A little more time. Not much, just one more drive, because it ended up being 41-35. Now, I think that this ball game reminds me a lot of that 2010 because there's so many unknown narratives.
Right.
We know South Carolina State's going to bring a good football team, and they had some major losses last year. They lose the Defensive Player of the Year to Kobe Durant.
Durant,
and he goes, to the league. But they got a great football team coming back. Jabronski Green is a good defensive lineman. A.J. Davis, that linebacker you're talking about, he's a stud, typical Bulldog kind of linebacker. But I think the key to South Carolina State, playing South Carolina State, and even when Coach Wyatt would play them, we had the ability, as one year we went up to South Carolina and beat them to death in Charleston. The game was played over in Charleston. And everybody just figured South Carolina State was going to win the game. They had Will Ford, who was the returning offensive running back.
Right.
And Bethune-Cookman, Coach Wyatt went in and threw the football all over the field.
That quarterback got over 400 yards.
400 yards.
Yeah.
And Buddy did, but it was like somebody is going to pay for this. He was bad at the staff. But I think if you can get South Carolina State out of their comfort zone of playing in a box, because they want to make the game. That's what they did. That's what they did Jackson State.
Yeah.
They made Jackson State play in a box.
That's right.
And so the reason they made them play in a box is because Shador had to hold the ball.
Right.
Mike Canales is not going to allow them that opportunity to get that rush going, because that ball's coming out.
Right.
That ball's, you're going to have to defend in space.
Right.
Running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. I think that's what makes me feel good about our offensive opportunities on Saturday, because the scheme is going to dictate what South. If you let South Carolina State dictate defensively,
You got a problem.
You got problems.
but if you, on the other hand,
Right.
dictate to them in
Right.
terms of how you scheme them
Right.
up,
Right.
that's how you slow that down.
Yeah.
Slow the rush down. Be very careful in this ball game. Watch the number of screen and draws that we run, things to slow the defense down. Or if they're being overly aggressive, use the aggression against them to slow them down. That's what play callers do.
That's right.
And I think that's what you're going to see happening on our side.
And see, that's the difference between having a professional play caller
Right.
and somebody in training.
Exactly.
That's the difference. See, he's not only a play caller, but he's an analyst.
Yeah. He's already two or three plays ahead.
Exactly.
Right.
In terms of
Exactly.
what he wants to do.
Exactly.
And we've already gone there, but from each one of you guys' perspective, I know Mr. Wesley gave us his. Let's go into the Alpha One staffing, BCU versus South Carolina State game plan. Ralph, give me your game plan for Saturday.
Well, my game plan would be the same scheme, similar to what we did in Miami, with a lot more wrinkles. Keeping it short, keeping it simple, and move the ball. That's what I see us doing. And I think if we stick with that game plan, like Mr. Wesley mentioned earlier, keep them uncomfortable and throw a lot of different things at them and get them out of that box. Don't let them put us in a box. And I think we're going to be just fine.
One of the plays that broke the 2010 game open and shook South Carolina State and their fan base to its core was Bethune was up 7-0 and moving the football.
Right.
And South Carolina State has always been, once you cross the 40, they're coming.
It's heat. It's heat time.
We ran a half-back pass, and the wide receiver was wide open in the end zone, and it just stunned South Carolina State. And at that point, and that was in the second quarter, the game was over because the Wildcat defense took over.
It was
I bring that up.
old Farrington and those guys.
I think I bring that up because don't rule out a trick play, a gadget play.
You got that right.
Don't rule out it, particularly whenever you play on an aggressive team like that.
Right.
That wants to, they want to bring pressure to put you behind the sticks or get you off schedule. And so you gotta know when to run that play, but have that in your repertoire too. I look to see if we put a few wrinkles in there to kind of take advantage of that.
Exactly. Yeah.
CC?
I just think that we have so much speed on the offensive side of the ball that the conference don't even know about. So I'm waiting to see these slot guys. I mean, these guys are running 4-4s and 4-3s. These running backs, these wide receivers. I'm just looking for Coach Canales to get the ball in these kids' hands, and let them do their thing, out in the open field.
Yards after catch.
That's it.
Yards after catch. Rain. Weather forecast. How does that affect the game plan?
I don't think it affects us as much because we're going to still run our scheme. And our scheme is going to be short, precise, and we're going to be attacking. I think we're going to probably run the ball more than people think we are, but we're not going to run it as much as because of the rain. The rain going to have nothing to do with it.
I don't think you'll see us putting our quarterbacks in situations where the rush will get to them. I think we're going to change the launching point. We're going to put them on the move. We got quarterbacks that can move with their feet.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Get us out of trouble. But most importantly, pay attention to the down and distances. Are we
Right.
staying on schedule?
That's right.
Right.
That's the key from that standpoint.
Definitely. Just keep them off balance. That's
That's part of what we're saying.
yeah, definitely the
Because,
name of the game.
When you get a defense on their heels, particularly one that's aggressive,
Right.
nobody wants to play on their heels.
No.
Exactly.
You don't know, and that's what I saw happen in Miami. Once Bethune Cookman made the 1st and 25,
Right.
that
Yeah.
defense which came out like
Exactly.
a gorilla. Now everybody was a little more tentative,
Right.
and we were able to get quick shots in it.
Definitely.
Move the football down the field.
Definitely. You're listening to the HillWildcats.com X's and O's show on Joy 106.3 FM. CC, what do you expect with the weather? Forecast, we'll say.
I expect a lot of rain. I expect you to bring your ponchos and come out there and cheer for the Wildcats because it's definitely going to rain. If you're going by the forecast today, I think it's more in the 50% area.
Yeah, I think
50
50 to 60%.
Yeah.
I
Area.
look for that game to start at 4, but I anticipate with the showers and the kind of rain we've been
Not about
getting,
6.
I think you're going to, because we're not going to play with lightning in the area.
Yeah, you'll
And
get
we've
some.
been having thunder
Yeah,
and-
I mean, we were out there today, and
Right.
rain is one thing, but we saw some.
We saw some, and
Yeah.
they're gonna call it on that. So I think you'll see the game probably start at 4.
Right.
I expect a rain or lightning delay there, and then maybe when we come back out on the field, probably maybe around 6:30 or somewhere in that area. Hopefully we'll have precipitation would have passed us by then.
What do you think? So we've heard a lot of the offensive game plan. Give me your defensive game plan, Ralph.
Well, what I see our defense doing is playing up tight. I think our linebackers, we're going to blitz a lot.
Okay.
I think that we have kids now. I think we're pretty much 3 deep at the corners and the safeties, and I think we're going to be rotating a lot of players in. I would expect him to be aggressive, but not too aggressive, because I'm not that confident that South Carolina State quarterback can beat us with his arm. I just don't see him being able to do that.
Right. Definitely so. Question was asked. We were missing some guys last weekend. We'll be back at full roster this weekend.
Actually, one of my friends just told us we need to get closer to the mic because it's hard to hear us.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Large, we're doing that, sir.
I think most of these guys kind of backed away from the microphone because they got that Coach Hayes in them, and this is a gospel radio station. So
I want the gospel in there.
But we were missing some guys on last week, and unfortunately, we're going to miss a couple guys this week in that contest. But I think we have enough depth to take us through, And it's not because of injury; it's other things.
I was just going to ask Larry, what kind of defense are you expecting Coach Hayes to run?
Well, I think one of the things that has happened to Buddy Pugh's football team is that they're no longer just a plodding, pound on the ground football team. Corey Fields is a senior quarterback, and he can hurt you in the air. And that receiver that they have, Shaquan,
Davis.
Davis. Shaquan Davis. He's a pretty good receiver, very, very good receiver, all MEAC. So we're going to have coverage on him. But I look for Buddy being an old-fashioned coach to want to run the football first. But
Ground
if you
and
crowd
pound.
him too much, he will take some shots. He'll take some shots, and Corey Fields is more than capable at times of getting that football there. He's had some big. He has some big passing game. He looked like Shedeur Sanders in the Celebration Bowl, and Shedeur didn't look like himself. He made some big time throws in that game.
Is that someone you put Amari Hill Robinson on, or is that Your best on the best.
No, he might be a little too small for that kid though.
Well, I think the type of routes that they're gonna run, I wouldn't.
He could.
He could play with him as a takeoff route.
Yeah.
The size factor would come into play. I think more on the in
Slants.
routes and the
Right.
slants where you're gonna box out. you
Right.
know?
We should have some. I mean, he'll have some help back in the. You know.
You'll have a
Right.
safety over the
Yeah,
top. you know.
definitely.
I'm certain they'll shade the coverage to his side of the football field. Your offside safety, your strong safety, your box safety has got to be aware of the run game. He's got to come up and run.
Right. He
support
definitely does. Definitely.
because South Carolina State cut their wisdom tooth on running the football. You know,
Pretty much.
That's what they do. They got that
Right.
big offensive line, and they've always, as long as Buddy Pugh's a lineman. You know,
Right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
he wants to run that football.
Right.
And so I think we're going to have to be strong at the point of attack. Earl Lane's defensive lineman will rotate people in and out to keep people fresh, but I think we're going to have to be strong at the point of attack. And you know, we showed the numbers. Now I gotta believe South Carolina State runs the football better.
Of
than
course.
they
Than what they showed
Of
against
course.
UCF.
No doubt.
No need trying to hide to us.
Right.
We know.
Right.
We've seen,
Right.
you know, I mean, he might not have somebody else.
Gus might not be as
Gus might not be,
familiar.
but we've seen South Carolina State every year. We know
Right.
what that's. So they look for them to run that football, but they'll mix the pass in and if they get behind, they may throw it even more. The other thing is that Fields is a capable runner.
He's a good
Yes,
runner.
he is.
He's a very capable runner. So
He killed us last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what down the stretch. That is
That's what killed
kept drives alive.
Yeah,
yeah,
we
yeah,
extend
yeah,
the play with his
definitely.
legs. So, you know, we've just got to be a little more sound in that regard. I do believe under Coach Hayes, his philosophy is more pressure. So I think you'll see a lot more pressure than perhaps you got with Yogi last year.
More blitz packages.
More in
Oh,
certain
absolutely.
situations,
Yeah. Yeah.
Obvious situations, you know, they're gonna, you know, the speed is greater than it was last year. for
Right.
us.
Right.
And
So
depth.
So we'll go after if it's
Right.
a situation we have to go get the quarterback. We're gonna send some people after.
We're similar in time of possession. One big thing that stands out at me: 7 penalties for 40 yards. So we almost last week UCF had 10 penalties for 85 yards. So we have to minimize because against Miami we had 95 yards.
But you know, think about it though. The penalties that we got on the offensive line, you usually don't see those types of penalties.
I mean,
That was
it's
unusual.
big game.
Yeah. Yeah.
First game of the season where you're actually playing against some guys.
I mean,
so.
because we had one guy that committed 2 penalties right behind us.
Yeah, back to
Yeah.
back. I mean,
So-
and then not to take us back to that game, but the pass interference call on the punt where the guy wouldn't even touch. He fell to the side of him. So,
Some of those penalties I think were rather phantom.
very much phantom.
Yeah, the block below the block below the knees.
Yeah,
No one could figure that one out. But again, like Larry said earlier, this is going to be a typical
Duke 'em out, man.
Duke 'em out
It's
game.
known as the brawl, right?
We've played these guys for 100 years, and it's always a good game.
It's always a good
Cats
game.
and dogs.
Cats and dogs, always a good
It's
game.
always a kid going to South Carolina State and Cookman games. That's how they always would go. I mean, you just knew. I never felt comfortable with playing South Carolina State. Benedict's, Allen's, back in the day when we were SIC, no problem with them. South Carolina State, they were a different animal. A lot of the time, they had a lot of Florida boys.
They did have a lot of Florida guys.
Yep.
Did have a lot of Florida.
But I'm going to say this. This Bethune Cookman football team and the one we had last year is no comparison. We got a lot more training. The kids were here all winter. They was here all summer. We had a really good spring. I think that people are going to be surprised about the product that Bethune is going to put on the field.
I would agree, Ralph, and I think as the year progresses, we're going to be playing more of our younger players. And
That's-
these are
Oh,
people-
definitely.
these are
Yes.
people who can play. They're not
Yes.
just, they're
Yes.
not just some stiffs we're throwing out.
No,
there.
no. These are
They're
actual legit guys,
Really
and
legit
Yeah.
you know. Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
definitely. We want to hear from you. Call in to the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. 386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. That's 386-868-3411. Guys, have South Carolina State a little early this year. More so than other years. I mean, you know.
Well, I was looking at that before because, see, traditionally in the MEAC, the South Carolina State game was always the third weekend in October.
Right,
Typically
definitely.
when we would play them, you know, and so now that they are from different conferences, I think only one other time I can remember when Coach Wyatt was coaching that we played them. I think he had a situation a few years ago where the same thing happened. It came down to play UCF, and then the very next week he came to Daytona. But it would even schedule people back then who ran the Wyatt bone before he played us.
Right.
You know, he would do those kind of things. So it's part of the gamesmanship. But yeah, I noticed that this feels like even last year we didn't play them till October.
Right,
Right,
definitely,
We
yeah.
played them last year.
And it was hot.
Ooh.
That was the hardest football
A lot of
game
people think,
I
you know-
ever attended.
A lot of people think last week was something, but
We had members of the band fainting in the
oh
stands.
man, it was rough. It was definitely rough on last year. Want to hear from you? 386-848-3411. 386-848-3411. We're talking Wildcat football. Our Wildcats take on the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. 4 p.m. Daytona Stadium. Be there Saturday. Caller, you're on the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. Welcome.
Good evening, my friends. Sixth edition your classmate, the wonderful Action Jackson from Palm Beach.
Welcome back, Mr. Jackson. We're glad to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be back. One name y'all need to, I'm going to say to you all again this year, his name is Jacory Brown. He transferred from Palm Beach Garden High School. He's now at Inlet Grove here in Riviera Beach. This young man is something to see. I think Coach McCray has reached out to his coach, but I'm hoping that we get our hands hold of him. You think Boston, Justin Boston or something, but this young man is some kind of athlete. He played several positions, but he is dynamic. His name is Jacory, Jacory. Last name is Brown. I'm hoping that Bethune Cookman really try to recruit him out of Palm Beach, but he's some kind of player.
Definitely so. We will definitely keep our eye out for that young man, and hopefully we can get him here in Daytona.
I hope so. I was impressed with the team also, fellas, but I was disappointed how A&M played Sunday. You know, A&M been going through something with those ineligible player situation, but I was very impressed, you know, with our team, and it was so hot. I thought I was looking beyond the sun. It was just that hot.
Definitely so.
You had a rough weekend, Mr. Jackson.
I felt like the band. I felt for our band. They were sitting in that heat. I was sitting in the heat. I said, "This is not for real." It seemed like the sun just say, "I'm gonna give y'all a beat down today. Ready or not, here I come." And the sun was really full there.
And that was the early September beatdown right there. Yeah.
But
Definitely so.
I think I lost about 15 or 20 pounds at that game.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely easy to do that. It was definitely easy to do that on this past Saturday and Sunday. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this game. Said, do y'all think South Carolina bringing their band down?
Yes.
Yes, they are. Yes.
But I was impressed with that band. They said our band ain't big as it was, but the band looked good to me. They really didn't get a play. Because one thing I like about Miami, every time Bethune played Miami, they always play their music and all that, announcing on their system, and you don't really get a chance to hear the bands perform because they got all that going on every time Bethune play Miami.
Unfortunately, that's D1 football.
Yeah.
So all with all the sponsors and things of that nature. Yeah. So, but you'll be here Saturday.
Oh, Lord willing, classmate, what you predict the score gonna be on Saturday?
Ooh. You put your classmate on the spot there. I don't know. I'm thinking.
Yeah, Mr. ESPN. Let's hear it.
I'm thinking. See what I'm saying, Larry? See what I'm saying? I'm saying right there. So, classmate, I'm thinking obviously Cookman. I'm thinking a 24-17 game.
24-17. 24-17. We'll mark it down, CC.
24-17. What you got, Larry?
Nah, he asked him.
I thought he asked his classmate.
Larry, bail me out now, Larry. Bail me out, Larry. Don't do that to me, Larry. Bail me out.
Larry tapped his microphone. He said it ain't working.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Daryl, I'm just hitting him. I'm hitting him with his leg. He ain't saying nothing.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Right.
That's it. Well, like I said,
before I go, I'd like to
go
say,
ahead.
I
Yes,
was
sir.
a little shocked that North Carolina Central beat North Carolina A&T. I was surprised with that game.
I think A&T they've had so much, flipping leagues and things of that nature. There's so much stuff going on over there. And the whole time, Central has been building, and their program has been solid. And every time we played them, it's a touchdown or so away, or a field goal that decide the game, or
A 5 overtime.
Yeah. So
We need to take notice of Central. Central,
yes,
very well coached in Trey Oliver. Really good coaching staff. In fact, a lot of people in that football game were making notes to the fact that Coach Washington said he didn't think that the loss of his co-defensive coordinator, Cord Williams, to Central was going to make much of a difference. And and it did make a difference. Right. But watching that football game, it's amazing that Central looked like the better football team, and I'm just so impressed with the young man we recruited really, really hard. He's out of Belgrade, Florida, right down where you are, Brother Jackson. Is over
Palm Beach.
Palm Beach. He's over in Belgrade, played for Central. I think his name is Davius Richards.
yes.
And we tried to get him really hard here at Bethune Cookman. But he's a big kid, a good quarterback. He's a junior. He started as a freshman, played against us as a freshman. But he's growing into quite a nice quarterback, and they'll be in contention for that MEAC championship this year. I think they get Winston-Salem State Saturday, and Winston-Salem lost to Central State up at in Canton, Ohio. But watch Central. They got a really good football team, and I expect them to be battling with South Carolina State for the MEAC championship.
Okay, I got you. Now, before I leave, if y'all had to predict what kind of season we're going to have, what kind of prediction what kind of prediction, like a 7-3 or 8-3 or 9 or something? What kind of prediction you would say the Wildcats would have looking at our team?
If I could answer honestly, I would like to wait until after this game to really tell that. If we look as a coach, if I go back and look at the stats we put up against Miami, and you bring that to our league play, if it continues to go with that trend, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. But like I said, I think I want to see the total method of work this weekend and see what we have.
Well, I had always used as a rule of thumb for any season when predictions are made, as I said earlier, the most growth in any football team is between week 1 and 2. So usually after the second game, you get a really good indicator, a sample size large enough, I believe, to then make some projections. I just don't think there's enough on the table right now, and so much of what we see today is all about emotion. And I looked at everybody. If you had listened to the media, everybody in Black America was supposed to be tuning into the Orange Blossom Classic because it's the second coming of Jesus Christ. and everybody who tuned in was out of church because that didn't last long. All the prognosticators were basically going on feeling and emotion, and the fact that Florida played so well against
North Carolina.
A very weak North Carolina.
Because Appalachian State almost
right,
61 points put up on them.
You have to,
that was some kind of game. Wow.
Yeah, you have to temper your emotions a little bit there and wait to look at the sample size before you can really determine the product that you're working with. This game will give us a much better indication, and it's a game between two rivals. And let me just say this: nothing is being written about Bethune Cookman. We're flying under the radar. But you let us knock off the defending national black football college champion, South Carolina State Bulldogs. Watch how quickly HBCU and other people will be calling down to find out what's going on, in Daytona Beach. But most people have ripped Bethune Cookman off. We knock off South Carolina State, and even those pundits over there in Jackson, Mississippi will know. All I need to say to them is 31-10. Y'all know what that sounds like, okay? We all lost last year, and we took down the team that beat you all. So I'm waiting to see how it all unfolds. But I think it will be a typical Bethune Cookman a South Carolina State game. But like anything else, we mentioned whether the team that doesn't turn it over, the team that makes the fewest mistakes. Football never does deviate that much, in that regard. So if you play clean, you keep your penalties at a minimum, and take advantage of your opportunities and capitalize on the mistakes of your opponent, you have a good chance of winning. Yeah. And we just hope that the maroon and gold will be on the right side of that score.
That's right.
Definitely.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the ball at the beach. It's going to be fun down at the beach on Saturday, so hopefully I get a chance to see you all, and I'm going to be tuned in, if the Lord will. But I'm looking forward. I'm excited. Hail Wildcats.
Hail Wildcats. We look forward to seeing you, Mr. Jackson.
Sir.
Thanks for calling in, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend and hearing from you next Thursday night at 9:10. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Yes, sir.
All right, see you Saturday, Wildcat.
386-868-3411. We're talking Wildcat football. Our Wildcats face the South Carolina State Bulldogs. 4 p.m. Daytona Stadium. Bring your raincoat. Bring your ponchos. If you have to borrow one, CC has an extra one for you.
See what I'm saying, Larry?
And he borrowed that from somebody else. So 386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. He can afford to put, $150 worth of diesel in, but came by $1 poncho. Caller, you're on the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. Welcome.
Wildcats from all over the world, near and far. It's your baby boy over here in Old Town, and we are ready for some football for the Wildcats, baby.
Mr.
What's
Walker.
going on, D?
Hey, man. Welcome to the Hill Wildcats 2022 edition of the X's and O's show.
Yeah, dog, the season has started. What did y'all find, Larry Wesley? Oh my God! Him in the house. Oh my goodness! Listen, that's a sign. That's a sign right there. It's gonna be a good season. Hey, we are going to resurge. We on the beach. What do the waves do? They crash in. It's time, baby, for some Wildcat football. Y'all Wildcats ready?
We ready. So, Al, I saw something in the what was it, the Orlando Sentinel the other day, and it looked like your face in there. And then the next day, after I saw your face, everything broke loose in Tallahassee.
Boy,
What did you do, man?
boy. Well, you know, I have a few ties up there on the hill, so I just had to shake it up a little bit, but I didn't mean to do it that doggone bad.
And then you add a little extra. Once you got them cleared, then you must have went down to Miami and did something else, because that wasn't the team that I had seen the week before.
No, not at all, not at all. And that's a hot game regardless. I don't care what you do down there to get some air conditioning. That's a hot game. But it was hotter for them this year.
Yeah, your boy back there jamming already.
Oh,
He
yeah.
getting ready, boy.
Hey,
Saturday
I
ain't
got
gonna have
my
nothing
theme
on
music,
Al
baby.
Walker.
That's
I
Al
got
Walker.
my theme music because the Wildcats are coming to regulate this year. All right, we got a resurgence coming on, so you guys just sit back and let's just put it together. So, D, I'm gonna tell you, I'm excited about the season. The coaching staff, I'm looking to see what they have developed into. The fans want to know, what are these new faces going to do, and what is the package they're going to put on the field, because what the coaches bring to the table is vital to the success of the team.
Most definitely. And, Ralph said it last week on the show where, our players are laser focused. I mean, what you've seen and I will even say it, what you've seen in years past as far as players sitting out of practice or what have you,
Yeah.
they're about to put Coach Fingers out of a job because she doesn't have any, other than warming the team up and things of that nature. There's no one over in the injury ward. And that's even this whole week coming out of Miami, we were blessed to come out of there, pretty injury free. And that's a testament to everyone wanting to get out there and play ball for the Wildcats and do what we need to do to make make everyone, take notice. And like Mr. Wesley said, after this weekend, floodgates could open up.
That's when the rubber hit the road.
Yes, sir.
Well,
There's been a lot.
I was hoping our preparation prior to this day was going to be intense. It was going to be uplifting. I'm still, for some reason, I'm stuck when we had this little short coach to come in, and he just took over the MEAC. So I'm just looking for that resurgence to come back. I'm looking for our defense to come in and pound and ground with this run game. We need to get in the backfield, push them back, push them way back. I think in order for us to be a subject in December, I think our defense, I really see that our defense is going to have to score and get a lot of turnovers and take over the game.
I think our offense will handle things pretty well. And I think if the defense can maintain and put the pressure and be the stinging defense that we have seen during the preseason and even during the spring, that a lot of stuff is going to bode well for our Wildcats.
I believe if that defense does create takeaways and turnovers, you will probably see a team that is the most opportunistic team.
Yes.
Will not waste turnovers.
No.
You give us a short field.
It's the dagger now.
We'll cash those in now.
Yeah,
Trust me.
yeah.
I'm, because the teaching that you've been seeing.
Right.
Exactly.
There's a different level of teaching and instruction. And I tell people all the time, coaching is teaching. It's the
That's
same thing.
what it is.
You just got a different classroom.
I mean, even like we saw today in practice, it's pouring down rain at practice, but I know for sure on both sides, both of the coordinators are, just bouncing off the walls, making or having our guys with, our attention is on beating South Carolina State this week. No one else, everything else that's going on in your life or what you got, everything right now is on this field. Even heard Coach Sims say today, hey, it's going to be raining on Saturday, And Coach Canales said the same thing.
They said it all practice.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well,
you know.
it's a lot like cliches and cliche talk. One of the things you hear now in this generation is trust the process.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of what Coach Canales and the offensive staff has been saying. We are running the same offense with some different tweaks in it.
Right.
But if you trust the process and work hard each day, getting better, becoming more efficient, minimizing mistakes, then
Details.
that process is working, right? But that
Detail.
the process is working. And those of us, we're going out to practice every day, we're watching. And as Darryl said, you don't see that laundry list of people standing on the sideline, the injured and the wounded. Those guys realize now, if you get injured, you may not get back on the
That's
field.
exactly right. That's it. And we've gotten some help, especially on the defensive side of the ball, not just player wise, but analysts, assistants, and things of that nature. So who have been with our staff before, but back in a better role to assist. So looking forward to some great things on Saturday. You got a prediction for us, Mr. Walker?
Victory shall be mine. Victory shall be mine. Listen, I'm just looking for a victory. You're not going to get me caught up in calling them numbers because you're going to send me back to my poker table. I'm just not going to be caught up in that. We are going to win the game. I'm looking for the offense to move the ball. I like what I saw in our quarterbacks. I like both the quarterbacks, actually, but there's something about that Jalen guy. I think he's going to have to really come out and show them some Wildcat football and take over the game. We need I think we need to spread the ball around. That way it'll keep them off their feet, and then they just won't be able to zoom in on trying to get the quarterback because we going down the field. So I'm looking for us to capitalize on the red zone. Turn the red zone into a green zone. Every time we get past the 10-yard line, it's got to be a touchdown.
Before you go, Mr. Walker, I want you to know, and if you have a pen by you, I want you to know your frat brother said the final score will be 24-17.
There we go.
Just so
24,
The 17.
17,
There we go.
Lamar.
Class of 84.
Lamar, that's right.
There we go.
Class of 84.
There we go.
Listen, that's a victory, right, Lamar?
That is a
That's
victory.
all we singing.
That is a victory.
That's all we singing
That
is a victory.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, Al, we thank you for calling in, man. It's good to hear from you each week. Glad to have you back on the show, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday and hearing from you on next Thursday, 8 p.m., buddy.
Listen, fans, get your tickets. Get yourself there early. Bring your raincoats. If you got that lace front wig on, don't put it on because it's going to get messed up before you get up out of there. Come on out. Bring your sandwich or two, and let's watch this game. Come cheer on the Wildcats, baby. Let's go.
Hail Wildcats.
Hail Wildcats. Thank you for calling in, Mr. Walker. 386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. That's the number to talk to the Arm Chair QBs and get your prediction from Mr. Cruz.
I can't make this stuff up. I can't make this stuff up. I can't make it up, Larry.
I tell you what, if we're close to CC score, we, the other armchair quarterbacks, will put $50 worth of diesel in his truck. The other $80.
Diesel has gone up, sir.
We only
The other $80. The other $80 you got.
Every Thursday.
That was last year.
I can't make this stuff up, Larry.
386-868-3411. 386-868-3411. Call in to the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. Let's talk Wildcat football. 386-868-3411. Oh, we got another caller. Caller, you're on the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. Welcome.
How you doing, Darren? This is Willie Jackson. How are you?
Good. How about yourself, Willie? Thanks for calling in this year. We're glad to hear from you this year.
Oh, okay. I was actually calling and I needed to holler out to Mr. Larry Wesley. I need to get in contact with him.
Let me make sure his mic's on. Hold on. All right, go ahead. I know you've been trying to get in contact with him.
Wesley and Larry and our classmates, so we came in Cookman in 72, right? Larry, hell, I don't forgot it's been so long. So,
50 years ago this year, Willie. 50 years ago this year.
All right.
So, I didn't watch too much of the game Saturday, and I hope the Wildcats be successful this year. I hope we don't have a repeat of last year, but we'll see what's going to happen. And you guys, I just want to call and let you guys know you're doing a real good job, and I hope people support the Wildcats. And I think you was talking about feeding them on Sunday, so send me how I can help this year like we did last year.
We'll do. Yes, sir. We definitely are looking forward to feeding the football team next Sunday at 4:30 p.m. there on the practice field after they get out of practice. So we will get you that link, and anyone who wants to donate to Hill Wildcats annual football team cookout, we will get that link to you. I don't think we're going to have – you are going to see any inklings of 2021 with this football team. And when I say that, I think our coaches have been brought to a standard in this 2022 season that, less than 100% it's not going to do it. It's definitely not going to do it. You see that in the way we practice. You see that in every movement we make. I mean, last week, it was thunder and lightning last week. It was hard to practice last week. We still went under the stadium and still got practice in. This week, more so rain than anything, and we got it in.
Yes.
We
definitely got it in, So, yeah.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
This was the first time I ever missed a University Miami game. Because I'm a little.
Gotcha. We understand.
I don't even want to say it.
We understand.
But I did watch a little. I want to ask one question. The guy, I think his name is Jalen Jones. I watched a little bit of the game.
That's correct.
But now, why do we have to play musical chairs with him? And he was showing that he is Bethune Cookman College, University's quarterback.
I think in that game, the reason for that, I know Coach Canales came into that game knowing that we would play three quarterbacks because there was not a number one. Truly, there was really not a number one named coming into that game. So we knew we were going to see all three quarterbacks, but I think that has been pretty much solidified. From what we've seen, that has been solidified, and you might see a little bit of it Saturday, but you won't see as much as you saw in Miami. So,
yeah, I totally agree. Willie, I've been going to practice. I want to say this, and because you were, Daryl and Oz had asked me to join the program, and he had this segment in here about, historical calls.
Do you remember the times?
Do you remember the time? And as you were talking, this team reminds me when I look at going to practice and looking at the roster. This team reminds me so much of 50 years ago. If you remember the freshmen that came in 1972, and if you remember that football season, our freshman year, it didn't start off really, really well, and we had taken our lumps, and We were not really playing a lot of the younger players. If you remember Arnold Robinson, yourself, and we had some really good freshman football players who became the catalyst of what was the Wesley Moore legacy. Wesley recruited a lot of those kids, and this team reminds me of that type of ball club. We got some kids in the secondary and linebackers who are real hitters, who are football players. They may not have had yet the seasoning to play college football, but believe me when I say that. I think back to that Jackson State game. It was probably going to be the feature when we played Jackson. I'm going to talk about that 1972 Jackson State game. And you know that game all too well, Willie. You know it all too well. It was your first start. And that night, we knocked off a pretty doggone good Jackson State football team that had 3 or 4 first-round draft choice players on it. And no one will ever forget Randy Walker's 94-yard touchdown run in that Orlando Citrus Bowl. So I say all that to say I haven't had a feeling like this about Cookman's ball club, particularly with the athleticism we have in the secondary and the linebacker positions. We can run to the football. We'll probably be very much more aggressive than we were last year on that side. And then offensively, when I say you're in for a treat if you watch some of these games, I really believe with the play calling and the execution that this ball club is capable of. Nobody knows what Bethune-Cookman is all about. I read a post yesterday morning on my phone where they put a thread out about this football game, South Carolina State and Bethune-Cookman. And a FAMU poster posted, why are you all paying attention to Bethune-Cookman? Because the heart, soul, and identity of Bethune-Cookman football is long gone. He can believe that if he wants to believe that. He can think that. Like a lot of people are, they've written this ball club off. This is not the same ball club nor the same roster. I'm not trying to be Nostradamus or predictor. I'm just telling you what the eyeball test tells us in terms of what we see out on that football field, the energy level, the practice, the commitment, the dedication, and that's how it was when you got here as a freshman. You know, few people know this. The night that we played the Jackson State football game, at the end of that football game, the alumni had already planned to fire Jack Cy McLaren that night, and we rallied to beat Jackson State 22-17 in what was nothing short of an upset.
Wow.
But that was, to me, the beginning point of what would happen in 1973, 74, and 75. You know, and that's kind of like what I'm feeling right now, this resurgence in Bethune-Cookman football. We'll see if it all comes to fruition.
Well, Larry, I hope you're right. Because, that means in the next 3 years we'll win 2 more championships, right?
Now, we let Mr. Cruz on that prediction.
I know where you're going with it.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. Really, we got our own prediction. His name is C.C. Cruz.
See what I'm saying, Larry?
I'm just saying that I hope Larry's right. So that means, well, if it goes back and the tables turn like it turned then, and if it could turn again, and I hope, when Cookman plays Jackson State, we upset them again. That would be a shock to the world.
I'm telling you right now, that's what I'm looking that same way, Willie, because I would not have believed it that night. And if you remember that game as well, you did. That defensive play you made at the end of the game is what won the football game for us. So,
yeah, I remember very well.
I do as well. So I mean that's what I see in this ball club, and we've recruited well. We got kids really on paper that you wonder how they got here to Bethune-Cookman, because some of these kids are really, really big time football players, and with all the upheaval we've been dealing with at college, for those kids to be here and be committed to turning this thing around, they are laser focused. They are a team. They believe, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens as it moves from here. But I feel really good. I really do. Much better than I felt last year.
Okay. Well, you guys keep doing the good job like you guys doing, and I hope the Wildcats. I hope we do 100% better than we did last year.
Gotcha. And we'll keep on striving and we'll keep on pushing them to greatness. So we hope we'll see you
All right,
sometime
you guys
this
have a
year,
good
man.
one.
You too,
And
man.
Larry Weather, I need to contact you, man. So, we're giving a reunion for Coach Moore on November 4th. So,
Okay.
and we'd love to have you there because you were the part of the team then too. You know that.
I would love to be there. Well, I was just telling some people the other day, next year is the 50th anniversary of what happened in Bradley Memorial Stadium in 1973, and never shall we forget that. So I'm glad.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm glad we're doing something this year for our 50th year experience of going to Bethune-Cookman.
Right. All right. Well, we'll talk, Larry. Hope I can get in touch with you and give you invite so you can be on Friday night on the 4th. You guys have a good day. I appreciate y'all at the show, and I hope a lot of people call in and support the Wildcats.
Thank you very much, Willie, and we hope to see you soon, man.
All right. You guys take care.
Hey, you too, man. Have a good night. What you looking at, CC?
Nothing.
What's the...
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, so I'm nothing.
I think he was ready. I think he was waiting for you to write the check.
Nothing. I can't make
Hey,
Larry.
let me tell you. What did I say earlier? He won't be there when it come time for the check to be written. That dude to be at the Buc-ee's in St. Augustine by the time the check.
Larry, I can't make this stuff up, man. I'm glad you see.
You know, Ralph. Come on, man.
Write the check. Let's see.
Oh man.
So there was a comment on Facebook. It says that, particularly, and Mr. Walker say, leave CC alone. No, he brought this on himself. He want all the smoke. But one of our faithful Wildcats said, how did the linebacker play look to you Saturday? Granted, we were playing Miami, and we were, people, there was some guys missing out of our linebacker core. And,
Couple.
Yeah.
I think a good person to answer that is Ralph, because he was kind of a little tight on the linebackers. What you feel about that, Ralph?
I think that what I saw, they were there to make the play, but they didn't make the play. I mean, they read the play, they were in position to make the play, but they didn't make the play. I think you won't see that this weekend. I think Coach worked on that all week. I think we got very capable linebackers, and I think they might have just been a little 2 inches to make a play.
Do you attribute that to Russ? Because we were missing some guys who, have had those repetitions.
I think so. That's what I attributed that to.
Do you expect to have those guys back, you think, this week, or hard call?
I'm not sure. But I still think you'll get better linebacker play this week.
Yeah. Which you have to have it this week. I mean, that's,
exactly.
D-line, linebackers, are going to be an integral part of, bringing a W on the home side of the scoreboard.
I mean, let's be honest now. Miami, that offensive line was really coming off the ball.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like Mr. Wesley said during the show, Mario Cristobal is
right,
offensive lineman himself. So that's got to be, everyone has a grade out of A's on that offensive line.
Right.
So, we'll see. We'll definitely see what we come up with on Saturday. So.
I know a lot of people are going back to what happened last year, but the one thing that I don't think they're taking into consideration, though, is the obstacles that team went through last year to get to where they were. And, when you furlough coaches and they got no contact with their players and you don't have a spring, you don't have a winter, and you don't work out during the summer, and then you don't have all your players there, I thought they did pretty good with what they had. Even though we were 2-8, right, at 2-9, it wasn't really we should have won 5 of those games.
Definitely.
Easily. We should have won 5 of the 8, 9 that we lost.
Right.
And we was not really that well prepared. We didn't get our offensive coordinator until August 1st.
And from what we've, the intel that we've gotten, even with him being here, he was
always
still behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Well, I've always, looking back on it, the whole football season last year was a season because of what Ralph just described in his statement of not having, a spring,
right.
something or whatever. We used the football season to play ourselves into shape.
That's right.
Right.
The whole
Right.
football
Right.
season,
Right.
where
That's
most
right.
people have been preparing to play football, and some teams had even played in the spring. We used that whole football season, and maybe that's why we did get the 2 wins that we got at later in the season.
Exactly.
From that standpoint. But clearly there were some others in there that could have gone either way. They were 50-50 games.
Definitely. So, I think, fans are going to be quite delighted in the product that we have. Don't let last week's score, deter you in any kind of way from what this football team is going to do. From what this football team is definitely going to do. They're putting in the work, as we said earlier, to change a lot of the doubters, because we all know they're out there. Heck, when even you're good, the past season there's still doubters coming into the season, So, and not to knock, but there was one team coming into this season, I know from talking in our groups, that we had one team to be just the most complete team.
Right.
And that team is in the state of Florida, to this point, they,
But, the history of Bethune-Cookman University, though, is that we don't talk about what we're going to do.
Right.
We
got
do
to
it.
show it. Right.
We do it.
Right.
We've always been that way.
Right.
We do it.
Definitely. Guys, give us closing words. Ralph?
Well, I just hope that all the fans come out. Of course, like Mr. Cruz have mentioned, it's going to be raining. Bring your ponchos, bring your raincoats, and come out and have a good time and support the Wildcats.
Academy Sports has plenty of them right down the road on LPGA. So no excuse.
Yeah, but please don't use the rain as an excuse for not coming out and supporting the team.
These guys need your support.
Yeah, we need the guys need your support, and just come out.
Definitely. Each one of these guys sitting up here soaking wet from being out at practice today, and it's not even a game.
Right.
Exactly. So those guys are putting the sweat equity in out on the field. You could take out some time out of your day to be there and support us. Yeah, Mr. Wesley.
Well, it's Wildcat and Bulldogs. We are playing a long-time rival, different conferences now. We are also playing the defending national black football champion.
Yes, sir.
The South Carolina State Bulldogs. And so if that doesn't get your ire up to try to come out and support your team and be a diehard Wildcat follower, I don't really know what will, because whenever these teams get together, you can expect the unexpected.
It's an instant classic. Instant.
They just bring that kind of intensity, and it's a good, clean rivalry. It's a rivalry that the fan base, both fan bases, I think, embrace. And so, looking forward to that experience on Saturday night. It would be great to see you in the stadium and making noise for the Wildcats. They'll make you proud. They give a great effort, and I hope that they do that again this Saturday night, and that we end up on the right side of the scoreboard.
I'm definitely looking forward to a great game Saturday. Actually, before me and Larry fly out to ESPN Monday for our interview,
you gonna have enough diesel
to get
to the airport?
You got enough diesel? Because we're not paying for that, I can tell you that.
I mean,
We're not paying for that, bud.
I didn't want to say anything about it. Larry didn't want to say anything, but they want the interview or so. But we're gonna
Good for them.
Don't worry, we'll see you back here Thursday.
We got no openings.
Oh, but let's go, Cats. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Remember, his final score is 24-17. All right? Fans, on a serious note, we want to see you out here on Saturday night, Daytona Stadium, 4 p.m. As the other guys have said, don't let the weather deter you. Don't let the weather deter you. Come on out. Bring your raincoats. Leave your umbrellas. But bring your raincoats, ponchos, whatever you need to bring. Let's pack the stadium out. I know the Bulldogs will be there. Let's make sure the Wildcats are there.
Oh, by the way, they're bringing their band, too.
They are definitely bringing their band, and the Pride will be there.
Be ready.
Guaranteed to what? Show up and show out. And so will the football team. So want to see you there. 4 p.m. kickoff at Daytona Stadium. You guys have anything before we close out?
Let's go Wildcats.
Let's go Wildcats. It's a cat and dog fight.
That's it.
Cat and dog fight there. 4 p.m. Daytona Stadium. We want to see you there. Support our Wildcats. And as Mr. Walker said, an important note: leave the lace front at home. That was from Mr. Walker, not from me. I just repeat what
Boy, y'all gonna be
For Mr. Al Smith, Mr. Larry Wesley, and Mr. C.C. Cruz, I'm Darrell Williams. We'll see you next Thursday night, 8 p.m. on the Hill Wildcats X's and O's show. Hill Wildcats.
Hill Wildcats.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bethune-Cookman University alma mater.